Hi, this is Johannes here, BENCO Products, T, South Dakota. I'm going over the 750 fully automated skid. Valve on the bottom here. Right now it's positioned to pull from the tank. If you turn it, now you're filling from ground storage. We'll set it back here because in this instance we're pulling from the tank. This bottom valve here is to run liquid back to the tank if you fill it from ground storage or if you want agitation. In our case, on this one, we'll leave it closed. This valve here would be our rate control. It's running to our valves. That's what we're using at the moment. So that's the position this guy will stay in. Wet seal pump, John Blue, 60 PSI. 200 gallons a minute pump. Filter on the bottom here, and then we got our boom valves on the side, and then a drain for winter icing or emptying out the pump stack. On this side over here, we got the switch to run a high PSI 2 gallon a minute pump. That's going to be for our hand wand up here. We got 200 feet of hose running for a hand wand on this particular application. Center boom for behind the truck, and we got RSA's roadside sprayers on each side. In this case, we got 1-inch nozzles and 3/4-inch nozzles doing 40-foot swath on each side or 20-foot swath on each side. On this unit, we got a 450 Ravens, 450 Ravens controller that we're using. The way I got this guy set up is for rate 1. Down here in manual is increase, decrease if you want to run speed and pressure, but we're going to leave it in automatic. And on this controller here, the 2 big nozzles, 1-inch nozzles, are on 1 and 2. 1 would be left side, driver side, and 2 would be passenger side, 1-inch nozzles. So that controls these 2. Number 3 would be our center boom that sprays right behind the truck. And then 4 and 5 is our 20-foot swath, which is our 3/4 roadside sprayers on each side. So these 2 would run our 20-foot swath, and this would run our center. So if we're doing a 20-foot swath, we got these 3 switches on. If we're doing the 80-foot swath, we just turn these off and turn these 2 on. Now we're running our big nozzles. And then the master would turn the whole pump stack on or off. If you want to dead stop everything and have it going back to the tank, that controls the boom valves on and off. So what controls the controls going back to the tank is on this control valve back here, this guy, and diverts the water back to the tank if we shut all our booms off. That way everything's returning back to the tank. Pressure gauge. We got our pressure gauge here that reads the PSI just to make sure we don't have no plug strainer. Really nice for diagnostic stuff like that, but overall just making sure that we're running our PSI that we need to be running.
Do you want to talk about setting up the booms? Like when they have to plumb it all together?
So boom wise, boom number 1 will go to driver side large nozzle. Boom 2 will go to passenger side large nozzle. Boom 3 will go to center. Boom 4 will go to driver side small nozzle. And boom 5 is set up for passenger side small nozzle. And that's the way you need to run the hoses in conjunction how I set up the controller.
Okay.
What did I forget?
Yeah, well, I don't. Mounting maybe the things.
Oh,
or
yeah.
How to
Yep. battery wise, that stuff is all there. I'll go grab one of the plates and mounting down to the bed.
Okay.
Mounting wise, we got these 1/4 inch L brackets. We got a slotted hole and we got 2 holes on the bottom side. Slotted holes go against the frame. We got bolt, we got holes here in the frame. So basically what would happen, you push this against here, you bolt it to the frame, it goes all the way through, and then you would bolt it down. You'd have to drill these 2 holes on your bed to mount it down on the bed. And that's how it would get fast. You got all 4 corners, get an L bracket, and then wiring. Hose reel wiring goes to the battery. We got an Anderson connector that plugs in the back of the skid, so it all just plugs in place together. Same thing with the 450.
Where's the, oh, it's right there.
It's right there, yeah. Jump up here.
And this is just set up here so we can test.
Yeah, skid in the trailer here is just testing. I did testing. It's a high volume skid, this one, so I just set it in here for testing purposes to make sure everything runs right. When I run my rate controller, make sure we're getting to rate, make sure we have a speed variation that we can go from 5 to 10 miles an hour, just to make sure it automatically controls everything. I was doing testing with it just to make sure we got everything working the way we want it and the customer wants it. So hose reel and the high pressure pump runs off this 8-gauge cable, just plugs in place back here, runs to the battery. 12-foot leads to run up to the battery. Rate controller, same thing. We got our 16-pin connectors, male, female. Plug this guy together, and this guy runs to the back side of the controller. Only one spot that I can get plugged into. And then the same thing, we got our power and grounds going to the battery. So everything else on the rate controller is set up. I did that when I did my testing. So, and that's all there's to hooking the electronics up to it. Would be
the orange and...
That's for auxiliaries. So auxiliary power, which isn't going to get used. And this is for GPS puck. If you need power, that's a switch power, and that's a constant power. So that'd be a switch power if the rate controller master switch is on. You got power on the stripe, and this guy is hooked up to the battery to this guy. So this guy is all the orange, straight orange one is always live.
Okay.
So in this application, none of these wires are going to get used.
Okay. Alright, so we talked about mounting the skid and mounting the... anything special on plumbing up the 2 booms?
Nope. You mean as far as mounting the frame down?
Yeah.
Yeah. I normally put them on the front bumper. They're a little bit nicer to see in the front bumper. People put them in the back bumper. It's customer preference. It's preference where it is best for you. I've seen it in between the cab and the skid. If you got room there, most of the time it's front bumper. It usually seems to be about the best spot. This customer, I think, is probably gonna put them on the back side, but it's customer preference. It makes no difference where they are.
Yeah. Then you just run your hose.
Yep.
And cut it to fit so it's nice and pretty.
Yep. Cut it to length. Cut the hoses to length to the boom valves. We'll explained on this one how the boom valves are and how stuff is set up. You got to put it in inches in the booms, what spread they're running, but I set all that stuff up for him. Only thing he needs to do is basically bolt it to the bed of the flatbed truck, bolt the 2 RSA roadside brackets on the side of the truck, and hook up the 2 powers.
Power and
Power and ground.
plumb in the booms.
plumbing the booms to fit wherever he puts them. He'll have to cut them to length so it looks nice. Yep, that's the only thing he's got left to do.
Okay. Perfect. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Got a tagline to end the video?
No, Hen sure would.
That's right, yo, because if you want to know, there's only one place to go, and that's BENCO, BENCOAG.com.